hello, ladies, gentlemen, and whoever or whatever you identify as. Welcome to the Car of Chaos. Welcome to another video. Right then, where's COVID gone? Is a valid question. I mean, apparently all it took was a threat of nuclear annihilation, and then all of a sudden everybody forgot where it was. Just over 700 days, I think it was 702 days. Here in the United Kingdom, we faced restrictions. I know some places still face a little bit more restrictions because obviously, if you don't know, the United Kingdom is split, sort of split into three, where England does one thing and then Scotland's got its own devolved government, and so is Wales. So Wales and Scotland have been doing pretty much different to what England's been doing, with the complete opposite effects of what they thought. Whatever we did in England, they didn't do in Scotland and Wales, and their infection rate was way higher. But that's beside the point. The truth of the matter is, here in England now, as we speak, all restrictions have been lifted, and it won't be long before, I think it's near the end of this month, where even if you test positive, you won't need to have to isolate. So finally, after 2 years of overreaction and bullshit, to be brutally honest, we're in a position where we're getting our freedoms back, even though quite a lot of people don't want those freedoms back and are getting really, really miffed that somebody's daring. Even though, of course, to thank a government to giving back the freedoms that they didn't have the right in the first place to take off you is very much akin to thanking your abuser when he stops hitting you, or she. It happens to both. You know, it's been 2 years of sheer hell, and although COVID has disappeared, well, it hasn't disappeared as such. It's become like everything else, like the flu, like a cold. It's just one of those things which you're going to have to learn to live with, which is surprising because that's what the human race has been doing since its conception and invention and arrival here on this wonderful third rock from the sun. We've always just learned to live with viruses because that's how it works. Any case, so now we're all distracted by the ongoing conflicts in Ukraine. It's been almost perfectly timed, as in America, a judge forced Pfizer, who were trying to bury their test data under their official secrets for 53 years, they were forced to publish them, and they have now started to publish their test data. And there's a few side effects, surprise, surprise. Even though after spending 2 years of being yelled at, shouted at, called a conspiracy theorist, and a lot worse, even though everything that I said had actually ended up coming true, I had, and I'll admit that I had the first jab. I had the first Pfizer jab, only because I was an idiot, and for one moment in time, I actually thought, well, perhaps the government will do what they said, which is said if all over 50s that their jabs, everybody can get back to normal. Unfortunately for everybody else, that was a lie. So I didn't, and also the fact that not long after I'd had my first jab, both my knees started to plane up, which, as it turns out, is one of the symptoms listed. Even though it took me a while to find it on the list, because it's not one page of A4, it's 9. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, 9 pages of side effects from a vaccine that's supposed to be safe. Now, don't get me wrong, I know all tablets and all forms of medication have side effects, because of course they do. It's the nature of the thing. But I don't open my box of paracetamol, take out the warning notice, and then have to take out the other 8 pages of the warning notice, because, well, yeah, they're usually a page, but this is literally 9 pages. 9 pages of side effects. They also have, not admitted, they didn't have a choice. They also have shown that over 1,000, I think it was even more than that, I can't remember the exact figure, it'll be up here on the screen, died actually physically died in the trials for this drug that everybody says is safe. Now, of course, because I raised issues like many people did about the vaccine, we are automatically anti-vaxxers, which is a load of bullshit. I'm fully vaxxed up with all my vaccines that I needed as a kid. So are my kids, because all the vaccines that are given there and then are safe. They've been tested and they work. Most of them taking many, many, many years to get to the stage where they're ready. Whereas this one, of course, somehow by the miracles of science, allegedly, just popped up in under a year, which then was approved by emergency powers. It actually hasn't even yet technically, officially finished its actual clinical trials. It's still being tested now, although there are now hundreds of millions of people all over the world who are now walking experiments. I personally had doubts about the vaccine when they said, well, no, you have to go through the sequence of it. It was, you take this, that's it, you're sorted. Well, you might still be able to catch it. Well, you might still be able to pass it on. Well, it doesn't mean you won't have to end up in hospital. The only thing they have is the classic line, which is, thank God I had my vaccine, I caught COVID, which most people seem to have caught COVID after they had the vaccine. In fact, it was quite common for more people who were double jabbed or even triple jabbed who got COVID than those who'd never had a jab in their life. Oh, and by the way, just so you know, I've had COVID twice. I'm still alive. In fact, I didn't think it was as bad as it was being made out. It was like, both times it was a really big, heavy cold. Thank you. So let me out. It was a really big, bad, heavy cold, as far as I was aware. But in any case, I digress. So, always worry about something that gives you, or is marketed as being the wonderful end of the world, you know, the one thing that's going to stop the problem, and then it turns out that in fact it gives you nothing, not a flipping bonus at all, not one at all. So, even though of course I'm an anti-vaxxer, which I'm not, all I am is somebody who is concerned about having something thrown into their bodily system that isn't tested, and also caused me to have side effects. Both my knees, I've been in agony with my knees now since I had it was about a week after I had the injection. Both my knees felt like they were going to explode. It's 2 years coming up to since I had that one jab, and my knees are just starting to get to a state. I mean, I was struggling to walk. I mean, I have got, I'll be honest, I have got a bad right knee. It's always been bad, but that's carrying lots of equipment and doing silly things. So I've always had a bad knee, but my left knee's been fine, and it crippled me. It genuinely crippled me. Which is, well, yeah, not acceptable. So what you've got now is you've got a convenient war that is now distracting you from the fact that Pfizer lied. Oh, and then of course there's the other little thing that turned out, which is up here on the screen, where the emergency powers, the ones, sorry if it goes a bit dark, I'm driving into Morrison's, I do my mother's shopping. Yeah, another legacy of the pandemic. I've lost where my trackies now. Oh yeah, excuse me there. Up on the screen is the fact that Pfizer pays the US government for the authorization to put it on emergency. So basically it's now turned out that all us conspiracy theorists and anti-vaxxers were actually right about the vaccine and were right about Pfizer. I mean, not that they haven't got a track record of doing it before. So COVID's gone. It's just up. I mean, you hear nothing about it now. It's just gone because now we've got something else to conveniently cover over the fact that, I mean, we've even, as I mentioned in a previous video, we've even been discussing it in our parliament about people dying and payments for vaccine damages. But of course, you won't be able to sue the vaccine companies because they made you sign an agreement that if anything went wrong, they couldn't be sued, which of course should have been the very first alarm bell that rang in your head. But hey ho. So 2 years of restrictions, over 700 days have been treated horribly, and the death figures, which were obviously, and it's been covered, it should be up there again, were nowhere near as said. They've rigged that, like they rigged the infection rates, they rigged everything to create a pandemic that wasn't really there. To be honest, it really wasn't, and the death figures and that prove it. The real cost is coming, and it's going to be far, far, far worse than the pandemic ever was. There are going to be millions of people dying from cancer that didn't get diagnosed because you couldn't get in to see a doctor. 2 years, 700 days after, I still can't get in to see my doctor. So there's all these people with cancer and other undiagnosed illnesses that have gone on and on and on. And especially with cancer, the earlier you catch it, the better your prognosis. But if you caught it just before the pandemic, you've had 2 years. Most of you, unfortunately, are going to pass away. And then let's not even go into the mental health issue. Mental health will be through the roof because human beings are social creatures and like to talk and interact with each other. But we've spent 2 years having that prevented. Well, most of you did. Some of us didn't bother. Some of us carried on with our lives and tried to keep some normality for our own sanity. Oh, and then let's not forget the education drop in all our children. We've had like, was it now two sets of people, of children who've passed their exams where they were just made up. The next one, which is coming through, are going to be told in advance what's coming, so they're going to be helped as well. And then all the other children anywhere else in the school, all their schooling's been impacted because, you know, teachers weren't allowed to go and teach, and it was left to parents. And then you've got people and teachers moaning about parents don't have the right to say anything because we're teachers and you're. It's a mess. And then the final thing, of course, is the financial implications. Businesses going bust. People can't manage to pay for things. And now we've got an energy crisis coming, which has just been helpfully and handily fueled by a conflict in the Ukraine and Russia, which is now apparently telling us to push for our green energy, which can't cope with the energy problems that we have. All this is to do with the pandemic. There is talk that one of Putin's reasons for invading the Ukraine was to take attention away from the pandemic. It's a feasible, possible cause. And yet here we are. It was over 700 days. The people still, like I'm now when I walk into Morrison's, will be wearing masks. Even though it's now been proved, without shadow of a doubt, that masks didn't help. Like everybody who was supposedly a conspiracy theorist was telling you. If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. If it makes it so you can get on and function in your day, carry on. I think it dehumanises you, but what do I know? I'm just somebody who spent 2 years getting everything right. Including this. Including the fact that the vaccine is dangerous. Because it was not actually properly tested. It still isn't. Amazing, isn't it? All it took was the threat of a thermonuclear war and our total annihilation. And with that, I'm going to bring this video to a close. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share. If you want to see some more videos like this on my channel, Gobby Guy, then please feel free to subscribe. Now, don't forget, I have got a gaming and sci-fi channel, Pitbull Gaming 66, which is my other channel. Pop on over there, because if you haven't had a look, why not? And that's all far less serious. It's just me doing games and talking about sci-fi, which can get serious at times. Because that's where things, when I talk on this channel, will intermingle with that channel. When we're looking at wokedom and virtuous and the destruction of films, and now and potentially the destruction of society based on pronouns and wokeness and whether you're offended or not. And you're probably somebody somewhere on this video will be offended by what I said, but someone's got to give you the opinion. I'm not telling you what to think, remember, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just telling you to think. Just have a look at the data. You know that data you keep screaming at us? Look at the science. Look at the science. Follow the science. Science is now telling you that that jab you had in your arm probably wasn't very good for you. But now, of course, we don't follow the science and we don't follow the data. Because now we're too busy, after spending 2 years saying, oh, well, if it saves one life, we're now all saying, let's go to war. What a wonderful world that we live in. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'll bring it to a close. And as always, and until the next one, with my hand on my heart, because I genuinely do love you all, I'm going to love you and leave you.